Not a lot to talk about in the sports world, but some of the great characters from it we try to invite into the conversation. Best women's college basketball coach, especially right now, maybe of all time, had her Baylor Bears again trending towards another national championship back-to-back. They had won over in Waco 10 straight Big 12 championships. They got their 10th this year. Lauren Cox was the Big 12 Player of the Year, and as we talked to Coach Mulkey about a month ago, right after her 600th win. She was the fastest in men's and women's college basketball to get there, and then the season over. And now her, like everybody else, is trying to find their way in quarantine and staying safe, and she's kind enough to wake up and stop by here with us on Off the Bench. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing about as well as everybody else, and God bless those that are sick, and let's do our part and social distancing and do what we can do, man. I don't think any of us really realized what we were getting ready to face or what we're going to face. But how are y'all doing?
We're doing good. Same. Just trying to keep it as sane as possible and as normal as possible. Everybody trying to adjust to the new normal, right? I mean, working from home and staying away from people as much as possible. When you heard the news initially, and you knew the team that you had without knowing the size and scope into which this would grow into, what was your initial reaction?
Well, let me give you a little background so that I can be really honest about my initial reaction and how I feel today. We just boarded the plane. We were we were the last Power 5 conference to go and play in the conference tournament. And that's unusual for us because we usually play our conference Big 12 tournament before the men. This was the year that we were going to do it together in Kansas City. Our charter flight, was to leave Waco at 10 a.m. We started boarding the flight, and about 5 till 10 or right there, my cell phone was on because on charters you pretty much can kind of leave them on. And my phone dinged, and I looked over, and it was one of our administrators, and he said, if you can get the pilot to delay about 30 minutes. Everybody's on a conference call with Big 12 commissioner and all the athletic directors. And literally, guys, we were through with all the instructions. We buckled up. We're on the runway, and I hopped up, and the flight attendant said, ma'am, you need to take a seat. And I said, no, sir, you need to help me get this pilot to not take off. And he did. They were so gracious. He hopped up and knocked on the door because he couldn't get the pilot to answer the phone. And the pilot took us back, and we hung out at the hangar for about 30, 45 minutes, and the Big 12 tournament was canceled. So at that moment, we're just thinking it's the Big 12 tournament, and we get off the plane, and my seniors are just hysterical, just crying, and so you're hugging them and telling them to go home because at that time we're on spring break at Baylor, and I said, go home, and I'll be in touch next week. Sit tight, take a deep breath. And it was Thursday. That was on a Thursday, and it was Thursday evening when I was sitting in front of the television, and I think we all learned at the same time that the NCAA tournament was canceled. Mm-hmm. My initial response was to check on my kids, and they all started texting and just to kind of calm them a little bit. But I guess at that moment, guys, we probably all are guilty of this. It's why cancellation? Let's just put it on indefinite suspension like the NBA had done. I just guess none of us really knew what we were facing. And so now today I understand more. I've listened to, as many people as I can without, having to deal with politicians. I kind of tend to turn the channel when I have to listen to all that crap. But I try to listen to medical people and scientists and people who know more than we do, guys. And so anyway, that was my initial response is why such abrupt decision when let's just wait and see if this thing gets better.
Yeah. So you're a great teacher and coach, obviously. What's your message to someone like Lauren Cox, who's meant so much to you, your program, and she was going out on such a high note? She was just named Big 12 Player of the Year. She was having a fantastic senior season. I'd imagine that a third national championship was her ultimate goal. As her teacher, leader, coach, how do you comfort her in this time?
Well, two players in particular. I have 4 seniors. 2 of them are graduate transfers, And while they are so valuable and important to us, of course, they had not invested in the program like a Lauren Cox or a Juicy Landrum. Those were the two that were most emotional. And I'm not talking about tears. I'm talking about just couldn't catch their breath. They couldn't understand it. And all I could do was tell them this. No matter what the future holds, you two have a national championship ring. You have 4 Big 12 championships. Some of these seniors will never get that opportunity. I thought of Sabrina Ionescu at Oregon, who could have come out and gone on and played, and she chose to come back for unfinished business, as she said. Those kids will never have a chance to win a national championship. And the last thing I told them is, if the season never comes back this year, you'll still be national champions for another year until somebody else takes it away from you.
Yeah, straight up. It's same thing with LSU football right now. Now, what about going forward, Coach Mulkey? Do you have any insight into eligibility? I know there's some talk at like the higher levels of the NCAA of giving everybody another year and maybe how that works. Have you started to kind of parse that out at all?
Well, that is a conversation that I had with our athletic director, as did all the coaches, particularly the spring sports, who really never just really got started into their season. Now, here is what I've asked, is just give all seniors the option. A lot of them in our sport won't come back, particularly the guys. You've got all the one-and-done guys. They're going on to make money. But give them the option. I understand people want to say, well, basketball played the majority of their season. Yes, they played the majority of the games, but that's not why athletes go to school. They don't go to school to play games. They go to school to play for championships. And the most important part of our season, they never got to do. So I'm a big proponent of trying to get those kids their year back now. Without a doubt, spring sports, that should be a no-brainer. Those athletes never really got started, and I hope they get their year back, which I anticipate theirs will be a lot easier decision than ours will be. And you just, if the welfare, and T-Bob, you heard this as an athlete yourself, if the welfare of the student athlete is what we want to preach from the NCAA, then think about all kids that were seniors this year that were affected in any way. Give them an option to come back.
Yeah, I mean, we keep looking at it from the LSU volleyball perspective here. They were number 1. They had somehow beaten UCLA 2 weeks in a row. Everything was lining up, and now, maybe that's all up in smoke. We'll have to wait and see. Now, if you do give the seniors another year, though, Coach Mulkey, did you basically extend that to everyone? Like, does everyone get another year of eligibility just because of the kind of log jam that creates? Because let's say you're a sophomore, right, and you bought in freshman, sophomore year, you're doing everything you can, you're not playing a lot, but you're practicing hard, and your time is going to come that junior season. Well, all of a sudden now, the senior's still here. I mean, is that where this goes? Do you give everybody that extra year?
Well, I thought about that because when you recruit, you basically recruit to say, okay, you're going to be behind this All-American for a year.
Yeah.
What a great lesson, and they're going to get you ready to take over, and then you're going to take over their role. I get all of that. But I also am trying to be realistic and not be greedy, too, and understand that seniors don't have an opportunity to come back. Underclassmen do. No matter if this thing ends in June, July, in the fall, whatever it might be, they're gone forever from the college game. But underclassmen, they've got a chance to come back, and so you don't just start demanding and asking for all those things. I think your heart just goes out because you don't have closure for the seniors. But yes, I'm sure all those questions, and then when you take the Olympic sports, that baseball, and that's what we call them, the Olympic sports. Those guys have scholarship numbers. We're on full scholarships.
Yeah.
I get 15. Men's basketball gets 13, and but they then have to say, okay, well, we're over our allotment because we signed this many kids in the early signing period, so y'all are going to have to give us a window for a year, to get back, to our number that we have to spread the wealth. So there's a lot of things. And my understanding, now don't quote me on this, but my administration has told me that they think they're going to have an answer by either Friday or Monday. I can't remember. I get so many emails, Friday or Monday for the winter sports seniors. And then the spring sports seniors decision will come after that. But I've gotten so many emails, guys. My dates are running together. But I think that a decision on winter sport, which is what basketball is, will be made by Friday. And mainly you're talking, like you said, football season's over and done. Those guys, have nothing to complain about. But then you start with basketball and the sports that didn't get to go into the playoffs. It's a crazy, crazy time in our world. We wake up every day, don't we, and we see somebody else has it. I just saw this morning what Prince Charles has it.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow. Did you get more emails about what's going on here, or did you get more text messages from South Louisiana Italian men after your last stop here on OTB?
I love it. Listen, my little junior high sweetheart texts me. He listens to y'all every morning. He's probably listening now, and he said, I heard you on the radio this morning. I said, it had to make you smile.
Hey, and, not as big as it made me smile, Coach.
So you're a workaholic. What does Coach Mulkey do during quarantine? Like, how do you stay from going crazy?
Okay, here's my routine. It's pretty much been this way except the 2 days it rained here. I wake up, I drink a big glass of grape juice, and I head to my yard. I have enough yard work that it keeps me occupied. I just do crazy, petty things. I guess you could say I'm a little bit compulsive when it comes to my yard. And then
grape juice? First thing in the morning?
Uh-huh.
Where did that come from? I've never heard of anybody drinking grape, like right when they wake up, like, damn, I want some grape juice right now.
And you know what I do? I don't drink liquor. I've never had a drop of alcohol in my life. Can you believe I grew up down there and have never had a drop of alcohol? And it has nothing to do with being hoity-toity or religious purposes. I put so many drunk people to bed growing up. I thought, I don't want them to ever see me like that. And I wasn't the designated driver because back then you didn't have the laws like you do now. It was just like, oh, gosh, she's going to feel terrible in the morning. But I'm a great bartender. I just don't drink it. I'm afraid I would like it, and then we're in trouble. So I wake up and every night I put a little glass in the freezer. Like, they do beer glasses and you pour it out a draft into your cold, icy beer glass. Well, I've got a little grape juice glass, and that's what I do.
That's so good. That's so good.
So anyway, I guess that's as close to wine as I'll get.
Coach, it's always great to catch up with you. We'll talk soon.
Hey, guys, you stay safe. All of you stay safe.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
too.
You too.